welcome to the IOBSE Check-In, a series of interviews that may be hosted by different teams covering topics about the security industry, our members, or our students. This session is coming from the comms desk. I'm your host, Bobby Louisant, the Director of Communications within IOBSE. And today's guest, I am so happy to have her, Ms. Stephanie Williams, Chief of Staff at IOBSE and Head of Facilities and Executive Assistant at Ask Media Group. Stephanie, how are
Hey,
you?
Bobby. Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I was thinking about, Women's History Month, and I was trying to figure out like who should we talk to and who should we plan on bringing in? And I was like, you know what? It's probably a good time for us to bring in one of the most important people at IOBSE. I need to bring in Stephanie. So here you are.
I'm honored to be here. I actually was pleasantly surprised when you asked me. I thought, what? We've
Yes,
got some major hitters in IOBSE. So the fact
you're
that
right.
you selected me, I'm honored. I'm thrilled. You know how much I love this organization. So thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Well, you know what? You are the major hitter. We all know that. And for the rest of us out there within IOBSC or anyone else watching, Stephanie really makes everything happen within IOBSC. She is the glue. She is the rock of this organization. Helps pull everything together that we do. We don't do anything without Stephanie. So everything from managing membership to managing conferences, webinars, like you name it. Like Stephanie's in the middle of all of it. And so it's absolutely appropriate that you are here today representing Women's History Month for IOBSE. And on top of that, I can't remember a time. I've been doing this now with IOBSE probably 10, 12 years. And I don't remember you not being here. And so for me, I think it was also important to recognize someone who's been with the organization. We'll get into how long, but for such a long time and consistent on top of that. Consistency is another thing we've been talking about at IOBSC from a membership standpoint. So when it comes to that, Stephanie, I think that's the other thing I really wanted to make sure you were well represented in how much you support the organization and also for how long.
Well, thank you. As you can see, I can't stop teasing. Like I've got this permanent smile on my face. So thank you. I appreciate the call outs. I have been with the organization a little more than you, Bobby. I think you probably are at 12 years. I'm at about 14. So this will be going into
Nice.
my 15th year with the organization, and just still so happy to be a part of it. I have infinity amounts of love for IOBSE.
Nice. And it shows with all the work you put in, all the hard work you put in. It shows. I think all of us are scrambling trying to figure out how can we help Stephanie more because she does everything. Um, so let's get into some questions here.
Yes.
And if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about where are you from? We know you work at ask.com, maybe a little bit on that, and what do you do?
Absolutely. So I am from California, was born in Fresno in the Central Valley and moved to the Bay Area at a young age with my mother. We lived in San Francisco, then headed over to the East Bay. I currently live in Oakland, where I've been for quite a while now. I'm a Bay Area girl, love living here. And let's see, I've been with Ask Media, which is my full time day job, for 8 years now, just
Nice,
last week. So
nice,
kind of morphed. We are a tech company in downtown Oakland. And the beauty of being here for 8 years is that I really morphed my role into basically wearing a lot of different hats. So I'm
right.
executive assistant to our executive team. I run our facilities. The favorite part of my job now is that I also manage our diversity groups. So we have
Nice.
a women in tech group that I lead, as well as diversity at ask.com. So super excited with my career and where it's going and the company that I work for. And then, oh, by the way, I have this other huge thing that I do, and that's chief of staff with IOBSE.
Yes.
And again, that has really uh, transformed in the last 14 years. I started off, thankfully, dear former boss and dear friend of mine, Keith White. I
Right.
worked for at Gap Inc. for many years. And Keith has been, you know, he's a former president, he's an advisor, he's been with the organization way longer than I have. But when I was supporting Keith, I learned about IOBSE and there was an opportunity to help them. And I volunteered and I raised my hand and I said, how can I learn more about what seemed to be such a cool organization? I know more about security for somebody who's not in the security industry than probably a lot of people, just by
Right.
sitting, helping to manage our conferences, getting our speakers and learning, about all the different facets of security. But thanks to Keith, I got the opportunity and just have been a part of the organization since.
Right.
I
I was
can't
gonna
say
say
enough
because
things.
Keith's not running everything anymore,
Yeah, Keith is an
and you're still
advisor,
here.
and so and it's funny that you say that because when I thought about this in preparing for our conversation, I think I've served five different presidents
Wow.
within the organization. So yeah, so I have a
Yes.
little bit of history with IOBSE.
That's very cool. I was actually getting, that was one of my questions was how did you get involved? And I'm glad you touched on that. And it's so it's interesting how much, you know, as leaders, there's certain leaders that really stand out that have really been woven into the fabric of what IOBSC does and all of the people who have been involved in IOBSC and leaders that you see out in the industry. I mean, Keith is pivotal for so many people, careers, industry organizations, companies. So again, I think Keith's name has come up in almost every single interview I've done, and I've only done this is my third interview now. But I mean, whenever we talk about IOBSC, we talk about Keith at
It's
some
true.
point somewhere. So that's very, very cool. I didn't know Keith brought you in. I actually didn't know you worked at Gap either. So that's very cool. I'm glad to hear that. Um, so, I mean, you've been here for a while, and sometimes things get old, right? Sometimes, at some point I'm sure you thought about how tired you are of doing all this stuff. And, I try to tell people, man, like none of us are getting paid to do this as a side gig. Right. And
Right,
so
right.
at the end of the day, man, like what keeps you going? Like, why are you still here with IOBSC?
Yes. So we always talk about it being family, right?
Yes.
And so it really truly feels like the family reunion that you go to every year or two and you see your cousins that you haven't seen from your mama's side of the family, and
Yes.
you're like, I don't even know you, but I know you. And
Right.
so what keeps me here is IOBSC truly feels like a family. Whether it's people that I haven't seen in a few years, it's people that I've just met for the first time, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the lifelong friends that I now have, like yourself and Bert, our president, Ricky Davis, Yvonne Rouse, like
Yes.
people that I've really gotten to get to know that are now my extended family. And then all of the new people that I meet. It's like once you're in, you're in. And
Yeah.
so it, yes, there are times when I'm like, I probably am going to retire and maybe I should step away. But then it's like I'm disappointing my family members, right?
Yeah.
So I can't, like, I'm in. Like it would be really hard for me to disappoint my family. And then to see my family grow, right? And
Right.
so with new members and let's, I could go on and on about the students and the young
Yes.
adults that we have. And so it just always feels like our family is growing, and why would, like, I'm never going to walk away from my real family and now my new family that's
Yeah.
14 years now.
Yeah.
I just can't, like, it's a big family, and it's a part of now of my DNA. It's a part of my life. And I still really, really love doing the
Yes.
work.
I mean, that's Very familiar, I want to say. I feel pretty much the same way. I love the way that you put it about like the family reunion. Because even though we all talk throughout the years or whatever, throughout the year, I want to say that conference, I mean, it is like that family reunion. I know
Yes.
I go all out looking for gear. Like, oh, I know the black tie event. I'm gonna wear this. Like last
Me
year's
too.
black
Me
tie
too.
event, right? Like I definitely got a custom tux and I did all this stuff so
You
I
got
could
to
look
show out for
fly
the
for the family
cousins,
reunion. Yeah, exactly.
right? You got to show
Yeah.
out.
We had to show out, and I know everyone else did. I mean, that was a great conference last year. Every year is great, but it's the same every year. I mean, I was shopping with my wife yesterday, and I was already thinking, okay, what am I going to do this year for the
Right.
conference? And yes, it's like seeing family at a family reunion. I love how you put that. Um, and then again, like just everything that we do and everything that you see going on within this organization and the support and the help that we provide, like it becoming a part of your DNA. It's interesting because most of us are tied to some other DE&I effort that's going on somewhere else, right? Like
Right.
this, I know this was my first one, right? And then now I'm working, internally, with Meta as well. And I have other external engagements that I'm doing with other organizations, SIA being one of them, ASIS, like, so it's interesting how the work that we do at IOBSE also bleeds, well, not bleeds, I guess it starts to like transform the DNA of how you think, right? and
Absolutely.
and how you like look to support the world and engage with the world. And so I think, like I said earlier, this is a side gig, but at the same time it's so fulfilling, to be a part of an organization like this and see how much it helps other people and students and young professionals and even senior professionals, grow and find jobs and make changes in their careers. There's so many successful people that come out of this org. It's amazing.
It is, seeing the connections.
Yeah.
I have a quick story. And because we're a networking group, right? So our
Right.
whole premises is networking. And I was at dinner with Debbie Maples, who
Yes.
her and I work together at Gap Inc. She's a member. She's on your committee for
Yes.
communication. She's like a big sister, and we go to dinner every couple months. She runs in, she's a busy lady,
Yeah.
sits down real quick and says, "Hey, I have a friend who has an opening at a great place. They're looking for a vice president. Who do you know?" And
Mm.
I immediately thought of someone awesome, awesome, awesome man. And I said, "Hey, how about?" And then I text him, "Would you be interested? Have a conversation?" Yes, yes. Ultimately, on his own merit, received the job, but it was literally from us having dinner,
Wow.
a quick, and then we're like, "Okay, girls, how's everything going?" And then we like moved on to, our personal life and checking in on each other and the kids and all that good stuff. But again, like the power of networking, um, and what our organization does,
Right.
it just fills you up, right? I've been
Right.
smiling ever since this person started at that company because I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
oh, that was just a quick, 2-second, who do you know?
Right.
And it's fulfilling.
Yeah. So, and I think it's one of the strongest, things that you can have in an organization like ours is that network and that ability to make that phone call or have that dinner and just be like, oh, by the way, there's this role. Oh, I know someone that could fill that role. And just being able to have that is extremely powerful. I think it's one of the most valuable things we have as an organization is that network. When you think about being able to call on support from someone like a Keith White or a Ray Cloud or a Suni or any of those high level folks, and then you bring in like the Debbies of the world, and it's just we have so many leaders that are part of this organization. It's amazing to see how fast we can move in supporting someone. Um,
Absolutely.
and be able to have the ability to change someone's life
Mhm.
almost instantaneously sometimes, and
Yes.
that's pretty cool stuff.
Couldn't agree
Very
more.
cool. Thank you. That wow, that made me smile. I'm having a hard time not smiling, but it's also one of the things that I've also loved about IOBSC. I see those things happening all over the place. all throughout the year. It goes unrecognized. I think we should be doing a better job of recognizing it, as a matter of fact. But it's just some of the work that's being done behind the scenes that people don't really understand, I think. And, I think we should recognize it a little bit more so people know, what it means to be a member of IOBSC and with the kind of support that you can have just being here.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, Steph, I think that's about it. Really appreciate you jumping on. I think you represent IOBSC extremely well for Women's History Month. Thank you for taking this time. I could see your office
Thank you,
behind you. I know
Bobby.
you're at work.
I am, yes. But no, thank you so much. I mean, women's history obviously means a lot to me just from, my culture and growing up with a strong grandmother and my mother and all the wonderful women that I have met throughout my career. And most especially the ones, that I met with IOBSC and
Right.
the young adults that I've been able to mentor, the young women that are part of the organization. So super blessed to be here. Thank you so much. I always love talking to you, by the way.
Thank you. I love talking to you too. You're like my sister from another mister.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome, Stephanie. Hopefully y'all love this check-in. One of my favorite people, and I know I probably say that every single time, but at the same time, I mean it this time. I meant it with Bert too, but I mean it for sure.
Maybe a
Love
little bit more
Steph.
with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Very close to Stephanie. We've not only worked together for quite some time, we've hung out together. I've been to her birthday parties. My wife and her get along extremely well. So
Yes.
it's an honor for me to have you represent for Women's History Month. And for everyone else out there, again, this is the IOBSC check-in. Started out pretty casual, and at the end of the day, I think it's something that we continue to do. So looking forward to having the next one. We actually have that done, so the next one will be out next month. And then also, just a reminder for y'all, for everyone watching, the IOBSC annual conference is in August this year.
Yes.
It is in Amazon's campus downtown Seattle. Beautiful time of the year for Seattle for y'all to come up. And then the registration is now officially open on our website. So check it out. That's at www.iobsc.org. Again, that's www.iobsc.org. That's for the teleprompter, so it gets it right. And we look forward to seeing y'all there. Stephanie.
We definitely do. Have a wonderful day, Bobby.
You too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.